monster-in-law invites my husband's ex to every family event, calling her the daughter-in-law she never had. I met Blake 4 years ago at a random restaurant. We'd gone to the same high school but weren't close back then because he was dating Candace, this girl from the grade below us. They'd been together since middle school, one of those couples everyone assumed would get married. When we reconnected after college, I asked about her. He told me they'd broken up a year and a half earlier. She dumped him, saying she wanted to explore the world but would come back to him someday. Translation, she wanted to date other guys but keep him as a backup. He'd finally moved on by the time we met. We started dating and everything was perfect until he brought me home for Christmas to meet his family. Candace was there. His mom, Sharon, had invited her. I thought it was a one-time thing, but Blake explained that Sharon loved Candace and they'd stayed friends even after the breakup, talking every other week. That first Christmas, Candace spent the entire night making jokes about my height, my outfit, my makeup. Sharon laughed at everything. When Blake tried to defend me, Sharon put me on the spot and asked if I had a problem with Candace's jokes. I knew if I said yes, they'd call me insecure, so I said I didn't care. I saw the disappointment flash across both their faces. They wanted me to crack. That's when I decided they'd never get that satisfaction from me. For 2 years, I endured it. Every Thanksgiving, every Easter, every birthday party, there was Candace in designer dresses while Sharon gushed over her. They'd talk about high school memories, inside jokes, that promise ring Blake gave her when they were 18. Sharon would say things like, Candace always had such natural elegance while looking at my Target dress. Or, some women just have that special something while Candace flipped her hair. Blake wanted to tell his mom to stop inviting Candace, but I refused. I told him I wasn't going to lose to them by acting bothered. He thought I was being stubborn, but backed off. The worst part was Sharon's comments about how Candace was the daughter-in-law she wished she had. How Candace understood family values. How some people just fit better into certain circles. All while I sat right there. But I smiled through it all. I complimented Candace's dress. I asked Sharon about her book club. I acted like their words rolled off my back because I refused to give them the satisfaction of knowing they got to me. Then 3 days ago came Sharon's 49th birthday party. Blake didn't want to go because his coworker's engagement party was the same night and he was really close with the guy. But Sharon guilted him into promising he'd come to hers instead. So we agreed we'd leave right after the cake to hit the other party. We showed up and immediately something felt wrong. Candace was there in a floor-length gown like she was going to the Oscars. Sharon kept giggling and whispering with her in the corner. At 5:30, Blake's dad brought out 2 cakes. One said happy birthday Sharon, the other said happy almost anniversary. Nobody understood what was happening. Then Candace stepped forward, grabbed Blake by the arm and pulled him to stand next to her. She announced to the entire party that 10 years ago on Sharon's birthday, Blake had gotten down on one knee and given her a promise ring before they left for different colleges. She held up her hand showing everyone she still wore it. She said it had been 10 years since that special day, and even though life took them in different directions, she wanted to celebrate what could have been. Sharon was beaming, saying she was happy to let them steal her thunder for their almost anniversary. The room went completely silent. Even the other guests looked uncomfortable. Candace hugged Blake and he just stood there frozen. Sharon cut the anniversary cake and tried to feed a piece to Blake like he was the groom. That's when he snapped back to reality. He backed away from his mother and the cake. Sharon looked confused and asked what was wrong. Blake exploded. He started yelling that they were both delusional and pathetic. He called them shallow and self-involved. He said he was ashamed to be related to Sharon and ashamed he'd ever dated Candace because they were the trashiest women he'd ever met. I'd never seen Blake yell like that. He's usually the calmest person I know. But years of this had finally broken him. He grabbed my hand and we stormed out. We took a cab to his coworker's engagement party instead. In the cab, his hands were shaking. I tried to comfort him, but he was too angry to talk. By the time we got to the other party and he saw his friends, he calmed down. Later that night when we got home, I brought it up again. That's when he said something that hit me hard. He told me that yes, Sharon and Candace had crossed a line with that cake. But I wasn't innocent either. For 2 years, I'd forced him to stay quiet and let them do whatever they wanted because I needed to prove I didn't care. I'd made it all about my ego and never once asked if he was okay with any of it. He was right. I'd been so focused on not letting them win that I'd forgotten my husband was suffering too.